Yo, what's up, world? I don't have much to say. Watch, pay attention. I'll show you a clip, then I'll get back to you.
I guess what really has just upset me, this whole thing with Emmett Till, never since the history of our great nation has there ever been a couple brutally tortured like Shannon Christian and Kristen Newsom in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I'm just wondering when, and I pray that it's you, is somebody going to share their horror? Because nobody, again, since the history of this great nation has ever been brutally tortured like that young couple.
The names the woman gave me were Christopher Newsom and Shannon Christian. Likely they mean as much to you as they did to me, but you'll never forget them after the next few minutes. Probably the first time you heard about them tonight. But the incident happened in 2007. Newsom, 23-year-old. He was a former standout baseball player. He was working as a carpenter. Christian, 21, was a student at the University of Tennessee. They had been dating for about 2 months. On the night of January 6th, they planned to watch a movie at a friend's apartment. When Channon didn't show up, she didn't show up to work the next day, the family became concerned, and they reported them both missing. Well, it turns out that the couple had made it to dinner, but when they arrived at the apartment complex where Christian's best friends lived, they were carjacked by multiple assailants. What followed was one of the most heinous, gruesome, senseless hate crimes ever. If you have kids, I suggest that you fast forward through this part of the program or put it on pause and watch it later. The evening started with a wonderful date, boyfriend and girlfriend. Now, here he was, gagged with a sock in his mouth. His ankles were bound with his own belt, his hands were tied behind his back, and his face was wrapped with a bandana. His head was covered with a sweatshirt that was tied around his neck. He was then violently raped with an object and beaten. One can only imagine the horror Christopher experienced as he was then forced to walk barefoot to the nearby railroad tracks, where he was shot in the neck and the back. But the shots didn't kill him. He fell to the ground and he was paralyzed. That's when the assailants stood over him, placed the gun against his covered head, and fired. They killed him execution style. But that's still not good enough. They then poured gasoline all over his body and set him ablaze. Now let me ask Miss Oprah Winfrey, what does that story sound like, Oprah? Gee, it sounds almost like Emmett Till, doesn't it? This is your Emmett Till story. It's not your sad hoodie story or your really tragically sad purse story. This is Emmett Till. And you really can't think of a more horrific way to spend your last moments on the planet Earth than what I just described, until you hear what happened to his girlfriend. She was taken back to the assailant's home. She was forced into a back room of the house where she was hogtied with strips of fabric from a bedding set. For several hours, she endured brutal sexual assaults. She was repeatedly raped in every possible way imaginable. She was then kicked and beaten with several objects, including a broken chair leg. She suffered major wounds to her genital area. She also had major blows to the head. Bleeding, she was finally dragged out of the back room and into the living room. Realizing that they had left DNA on the victim, the attackers tried to cover their tracks. They poured bleach all over her. Realizing that they left DNA in the victim, they poured bleach down her throat. She was still alive when they wrapped her body in a black garbage bag. They wrapped her head in a white plastic grocery bag. Then she was placed in a garbage can in the kitchen of the house. She was still alive. Her last minutes on Earth were spent slowly suffocating in a garbage can after she had been savagely beaten and raped for hours.
How does that make you feel? How does it make you feel that a crime like this can even go on in America, for one, and for two, no one really gives a shit. No media said much about it. A lot of people don't know about it. To me, it's an insult that Trayvon Martin got so much more attention than this murder. You can't even compare the two. You can't even compare the two, because both sides had a lot of things they didn't want to say. But what I got from the whole Trayvon Martin thing was, he was a troubled teen. He was a troubled teen. And the other dude was following him. But maybe he had a reason. You know, a lot of people like hiding the fact that Trayvon had burglar's tools and stuff like that in his locker. But at the same time, the other side were doing some fucked up lying shit, showing pictures of him that weren't even him, and posts that he wasn't even making. Now, I'm not saying he deserved to die, but that was a debatable murder. No matter how you look at it, it was debatable. Because both sides have solid points. Both sides. Both sides. Both of them. You know. But with something like this, only one side is right. For something like this, when it's just a open and shut case from the start, it gets no attention. But you know what? I'm going to tell you all right now why it gets no attention and why it got no attention. I'm going to tell you all right now. It's the black people's fault and the white people's fault. Yeah. It's black people's fault and white people's fault. Let me explain to you how. There's two types of white people that are to blame for this story not going anywhere. The first type of white person that's to blame is the white person who's like a far left liberal and just, oh, you know, race doesn't matter, you know, race means nothing, there's no such thing as race, it's a made up concept, we're all the same, we're all equal, there's no such thing as racial crime, there's just crime in general, there's no such thing as race. So if one group of people is doing much worse and they're much more violent or something than another group of people, it doesn't get addressed because of that's how these people will perceive it as racism. They won't address it, they won't say it, they'll even make you feel racist if you try to mention it. And these people right now have the loudest voices. If you're a liberal and you're a white liberal, you have the loudest voice. You really do. So if you say race doesn't matter, blah, 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 we don't want to say black people this or that because race doesn't matter, your voice is being heard right now. So obviously, liberal white people do not want to show this kind of stuff. They don't want to show it. But there's another group of white people to blame for this in America. It's the exact opposite. The pro-white people, my white brothers and sisters, we need to get together in this country and stand up against everyone oppressing us and doing crimes against us. Look, you're an idiot. I've said that many times. And I know how you feel. If you're a pro-white American, look, I know how you feel. I know how you feel. You think I like that there's so much black on white crime? You think I like that when I go back to America, people look at me and think I might knock them out or try to fight somebody and put them on World Star or rape a white girl? Do you think I like that feeling? Well, let me tell you why you're stupid. The reason why you're stupid is in America, we have a democracy in which now you cannot make it anywhere being pro-white racist, period. You can't make it anywhere. The government is not going to allow that. We have a colored president. The government is not going to allow that. And the problem with these pro-white people is a lot of times they have good points that I agree with, but then they just say something fucking stupid right after it. We feel there's too much black and white crime, we should do something about it. Okay, you got a point, you got a point. Seek how white power. What the fuck is that? Whenever these racist white people have something that they can use to help them in their cause, they fuck it up by saying stupid shit like that. Like that. And that's why these things usually don't get much media coverage, because a lot of the media don't want to see the pro-white backlash. And it makes white people, the liberals, makes them look bad because they're white. It makes the country look bad because we're mostly white people in this country. Like in America, I'm not white, but you know what I'm saying. It's mostly white people. They want to avoid that look. Throughout the history of America, There's been so much white on black racism. A lot of white people are tired of seeing it and they're tired of hearing it. They're tired of it. They're sick and tired of it. It's sad to say this. It's sad to say this, but there's a lot of white people in America who are willing to go through black on white racism just to not hear about white on black racism. I'll say that again. There's people in America who are, white people in America who are willing to live with black on white racism just so they don't have to hear about white on black racism because of the history. It's all about the history. That's what it's about. If we didn't have this history of slavery and Jim Crow laws, it would be a total different world in America. It would be different. The N-word wouldn't be strong at all. It would just be another word. We wouldn't have that history behind it. If black people just came over here as white people's friends and we built the country together and white people called black people niggers, niggers wouldn't mean nothing. The word nigger would mean nothing. It would just be another word. But the history is what changes it, and a lot of white people are tired of hearing about that racist history. So they put up with this shit. They put up with these murders. They're not going to talk about it on the news because they don't want to hear the white on black backlash, and that part is partially to blame on the pro-white movements because they're stupid. They're so fucking stupid. There have been so many incidences in which, I guess I could call them pro-white because not all races are white. Okay, there were so many instances where pro-white people had a chance to get their voices heard, but they just fuck it up because they can't be pro-white without insulting other people. That is the main problem with pro-white organizations. They always have to insult other people. They can't just be pro-white and help everybody. They have to be pro-white and destroy everybody. Fuck these people. Fuck segregation. Like a lot of people are using this, a lot of pro-white people, you can find the memes, they're using this murder to speak out against segregation. Fucking stupid. Get over it. You really have to get over it. Now I'm gonna get to the black people, but seriously, you pro-white American people, you gotta change your shit. Because I don't like this shit either, but what you're doing isn't helping anything. You keep going down the road, all these crimes, they're not gonna say anything about it because they don't wanna hear your racist white ass. Because you're making them look bad. Just like these black people are making me look bad, you guys are making the white people who want a better, nice society, which is the majority, the liberals, look bad. You're making them look bad. And until you stop making them look bad, no one's going to hear about these crimes. Now to the black people. There's two types of black people to blame for this one. There's the, I don't give a fuck nigga, you know what I mean? I don't give a fuck nigga, just the most not racist, the most ignorant, don't give a fuck about shit black people in America. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The gangsters, the hoods, the thugs. These dudes have a lot of them have a mentality of, fuck it, I'm me, I don't give a fuck what nobody thinks, I'm the man, somebody tell me what to do, fuck them. Because a lot of them were born with mothers only. They didn't really have father figures. And when you're especially when you're the oldest child, when you're the oldest child and you're growing up, there's no male role model around telling you what to do. When you go out into the real world and some male tries to give you some friendly advice, you're probably going to think, nigga, who the fuck are you? You ain't my fucking father. And they're going to take it wrong because they're not used to taking even helpful advice from another man. They're not used to it. It sounds like that guy's trying to be his boss or something. And they don't even like listening to their bosses. That nigga act like he my father. He just a boss. He ain't my father. You know, it's important to have two parents in a household, and it's important to have a family. Black people, we gotta get our families up. We really do. It's so rare to find a mother who has children with just one man. Like if she has 3 or more children, it's so hard to find one who has them all with just one man. It's rare. I think in America it's about half and half. And that's fucked up. That's fucked up with black people. Our families are fucked. Many men and little girls are born and raised without fathers, and their mothers have babies with other men. It's fucked up, and it's way too common. I don't know the numbers on it, but it's fucked up. The other type of black people to blame for this, it's similar to the, I don't give a shit about nigga. It's the blame everything on everyone else black person. Like, it's the system, it's this and that, it's not us. Sure, yeah, it's the system. Even though a lot of poor foreigners come here, they start businesses, they learn the language, they learn new skills and all this stuff, and they live in poor neighborhoods, they make money, then they leave. They're not blaming the system. The system ain't made for them, they're immigrants. But they still come up out of the poor neighborhoods and they do just fine. Why? Why? Tell me why. Well, one thing I can tell you for sure, they put a much more emphasis on education. That's one. And two, they usually have much better families than we do. They're not just going around fucking making kids like it's getting a cat. You know, a kid is something very, very, very important. It's something that should be planned. It's so rare that in the ghetto and shit, where the black people are, and a lot of the black ghettos or whatever, that a baby is planned. Like, babies just kind of happen. It just happens. Like, oh, I'm pregnant. What are we going to do? Instead of, hey, let's try to get me pregnant about 3 months from now. So we start trying in 3 months, and, you know, about a year later from now, I should have a baby. You know, we'll have enough money. They don't plan it. It just happens usually. And it's fucked up. But then I'm going to seem like I'm racist. When you check the statistics on children born, black kids being born and raised without fathers, you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see it. And that's basically it. What should we do? What should we do considering this crime and to keep other crimes from happening like this? I'll tell you exactly what we do. This is the only way that I can think of. White people, since you're the majority of the country, there's much more you than black people. These white people who don't like these crimes, black on white or white on black, they don't like these interracial crimes. Of course, no one likes crimes, but interracial crime, you know, that hits more of a nerve than any other crime. It does. It does. So, for the white people who don't like these interracial crimes, start a group, start a movement based on people who want to see these crimes stopped. People who are against these senseless racial crimes. The people, not the white people, not the blue-eyed people, not just the blonde people. You're not Hitler. It's not going to work. Get over it. The people who are against this stuff. Start marching in neighborhoods that have a lot of crime. Start marching in them. Because apparently, these guys who kidnapped the couple, they were from a fucked up neighborhood. Start marching in these neighborhoods. Don't go marching in there, a whole bunch of white boys with blonde hair, blue eyes, thinking you're going to make a difference. You're not making a difference. The American military is powerful. You think you're going to start some revolution? You ain't going to start a revolution. These niggas can kill you with drones. They don't even have to come down in tanks. You're not going to start a revolution. It's not happening. You have to have people of the American people of all colors, races, and sexes march together in that neighborhood. That's how you do it. Start marching whenever this bullshit happens. Start a march in a bad neighborhood in which it happens. Be very annoying, be very loud, and have many people of every race in there. So you know what? Next time a people of one race is thinking about hurting people of another race just for fun or for a rape or for kicks, they'll remember, damn, you know, the last niggas who tried to do some shit like that, they came to the neighborhood marching and all this crazy shit, they ate all the food, I ain't going through that shit, fuck it. I'ma just fuck with my own people. Now, I know it's stupid to say it's better to commit crime to your own race than to another one, but logically, it is. It is. Black on white crime or white on black crime is much worse than black on black or white on white. It is. Logically, especially in a country with a history like America. It's very important that us black people, we first should convince our people to stop committing crime, to slow down with it, and to only blame ourselves. That's it. We can only blame ourselves. That's how we start. Alright? So I told you what to do. You all know. I think I'm blabbing now. I'm getting tired. The story was so fucked up. And that's basically it. I'm out. Later.